I already knew they was up to something. You can feel when a house don't look at you the same. But I ain't never expected I'd be reading my own name. On a nursing home intake form. The coffee pot was still brewing when I found the damn paperwork. One lonely piece of copy paper stuck between my phone bill and church newsletter on the mail table. Senior Wellness Placement Intake Summary, Ora Mae, Jerome. What got me first wasn't the fact they planned it. It was the signature. My daughter-in-law's, Ibonia, signed soft in cursive like she was inviting me to a picnic, not dumping me into a home like last week's fish fry bones. I didn't say nothing at first. I just stared at it, while the morning light flicked through my blinds like spirits watching. Front door creaked. There they was, Joylene and Ebony walking in, smooth and smug. "Mama, good morning," Joylene sang, like didn't nothing happen. Ebony was behind her, holding a clipboard, flipping between tabs on her iPad like it was a business deal. "You eat yet?" I asked. "No, but Mama, we got something to talk about." She didn't sit down. That was her mistake. Ebony took the paper from under my hand gently, like she thought she was controlling the moment. "It's just an assessment," she said, smiling. "Totally voluntary. We just been worried, that's all." "Yeah? You forgot to turn off the stove last week." "I turned the stove off because y'all ain't cooked nothing worth remembering." Her smile dropped. Joylene stayed silent, always good at hiding behind others. "So y'all want to ship me to some shared two-bed dorm with fennel pudding and group bingo? So y'all can live in this house I bought?" "No one said that, Mama." Then why did this paper say my name and your signature?" Cue stuttering. Cue sudden garbage excuses. "I'm sorry to disappoint y'all, but I'm not going to no wellness place 'cause two grown fools think freedom means taking away mine." "Mama, let's just pause," Joylene started. "I did," I said. "For 18 years while you made messes and I cleaned them with prayer and tax refunds." Ebony opened her mouth, but I waved her down like a fly. "You want to see a placement plan? Here's mine." "You, out, in 30 days. They tried to put me in a home, so I made them homeless. People think heartbreak always happens loud, like slamming doors or car tires screeching down the road. But in real life, it's paper soft, quiet like somebody slowly moving around your kitchen, taking things that belong to you, while you're still standing right there. I ain't ever had much, but what I had, I built with sore feet and good choices. That house on Hillcrest Ave wasn't paid off by chance. It was scrubbed tile by tile with faith and overtime shifts that ain't never show up in the paycheck. And the girl sleeping in my guest room was eating off a plate I'd washed by hand. Ebony came into our lives 5 years back. Sparkle lip gloss, big city smarts, edges laid down like lies stitched with glue. She met Joylene through some tech job they worked out in Atlanta. Joylene had just come back home after a messy divorce, left her with nothing but attitude and a half-broke Hyundai. I let her crash in my guest room, told her it was temporary, told myself she just needed to reset. Then Ebony came to visit. Then Ebony folded her jeans into the nightstand. Then Ebony started picking up groceries using my card. I told myself I was helping. 'Cause that's what mamas do. We help until we broke in the body and the wallet. At first she was sweet. Always washed her coffee cup, called me Miss Ora, but slowly. She started acting like the house was hers, like Sunday gravy could be made with almond milk, like my bedroom light bulbs needed cool tone replacements, like my church calendar on the fridge clashed with her neutral color scheme. I heard her one day talking to Joylene in the laundry room behind a load of sheets I could barely carry from the washer. "I told you, Joy, once that deed's refinanced in your name, we can upgrade and flip it." I froze mid-step, laundry basket hanging heavy on my hip like a baby that wasn't mine. Joylene didn't say much, just grunted. I swallowed that moment for the second time. The first was when I found a property appraisal on my printer tray, $168,000. Searched from Ebony's email. I didn't say nothing, not yet, but that's when I moved my deed into the fireproof box under my bed, and my heart into a place that didn't blink when Ebony called me cute. Every little thing started slow picking at me. She changed the thermostat from my favorite setting, said the doctor warned elderly women about dry heat. She bought a pill organizer in case I forgot, then misplaced half my blood pressure refills. She told me Mr. Harmon was lurking when he waved through the fence. That's when I knew what game she was playing. If you paint someone crazy long enough, the world starts seeing madness in every word they speak, even when it's truth. But the worst moment, the one that pulled up betrayal like a boot from wet mud, came with a phone call Joylene wasn't supposed to take on speaker. They thought I was outside on the porch, but I had just come back inside to finish cutting collards and I heard it. Ms. Granger from Oak Pines is ready to finalize the touring date. She said the resident can be placed in a private suite due to her high contribution value. She just needs consent on paper for her social guardian to sign. Social guardian. That's what they was planning. Turning me from mama to tenant, from homeowner to ward. I dropped the knife into the sink and stepped just soft enough to hear Ebony whisper, "Don't worry, after 6 months she won't even want to come back." Joylene laughed too quick, not a belly laugh, just weak. The next week, I poured my morning coffee into my cornbread bowl by accident, then left the oven on for 2 hours by mistake. But those were accidents that could happen to anybody, not symptoms. I was just starting to uncoil from stress. But my mistake gave her ammunition. I saw her typing it down in her notes app, like it was evidence. She forgot which burner was on. Mama put salt in her tea. Slurred a word during conversation at Target. Refused extra help with her meds. Refused? I was 67. My eyes wasn't night strong anymore, and I needed to rest more than I used to, sure. But I was not lost, not confused. Not the woman she'd made me out to be. Ebony printed it all neat. Filed it next to her spa coupons in the junk drawer I wasn't supposed to open. But I did, and the moment I saw my name scribbled under the words priority placement candidate, I felt something in me snap. It made my ears ring. The shaking I'd blamed on age for weeks was anger pressed too hard behind polite smiles. I folded that paper quietly and placed it under my bra, next to the one thing she couldn't take. My conviction. I stayed silent 10 more days. Let her do her smiling. Let her paint my kitchen gray. Then I met with a lawyer Marcus referred, didn't tell Ebony I'd seen my eldest again. He'd just come back into town after years of living 2 states away. And when I told him what was happening, he cried. Said, "Mama, I ain't known. I swear I ain't known. My Marcus never was perfect, drinks too much, never settles down. But he got a good eye for snakes. He told me she was setting up a claim to fraudulently resell the house once it was legally transferred. Said she'd done it before to an aunt before Joylene, back in New Jersey. And suddenly, I remembered what she whispered after Christmas. Let this be your last year slaving over sweet potatoes, Miss Ora. Next one, you'll be on the beach." Not a vacation, a placement. That's when I made my list. It started with change locks. Call Mr. Harmon to set up floodlights. Print deed copy for legal protection. Open separate account for estate restructuring. Terminate joint bill pay and store-only cards. Call Joylene's old parole officer cousin just in case. I was gonna let her wear her own trap. Let her stitch every signature and lie. And the moment her pen touched that clipboard, I'd have everything I needed. I wasn't waiting for justice. I was brewing eviction. The day she tried to finalize the papers, I already had biscuits in the oven and my lawyer on speed dial. You ever feel your heart steady and hot at the same time? That was me. Calm as Sunday morning, but with a storm behind my ribs. Marcus came by early with donuts. He knew. Lord, he knew. He didn't say nothing, just put his hand on my shoulder and nodded. "She moves today, Ma," he said. Ebony had no idea what was coming. Joylene didn't either, but she should have. She used to be able to feel my storms coming. But maybe that was back before her ears started hearing only money. They rolled in just after 11 a.m. sharp, like the appointment had already been made. Joylene had a giant folder in her hands. Ebony wore lipstick too bright for a casual day and heels too sharp for comfort. Her placement shoes. That's what I called them in my head. Ready for her victory lap back to what would be her house. "You ready to go, Mama?" she asked, fake sweet. I smiled. "Yes, baby, I surely am." Marcus stood up slowly from the other side of the room. That wiped the grin right off both their faces. Ebony froze. "Marcus, what you doing here?" "I'm family," he said cool. "What you about to do ain't." "Can we not start drama?" Joylene chimed in, stepping in like she still thought she had control. Ebony pulled out her phone. "Let me just get the placement form up." "No need," I said, slipping a manila envelope off the table and patting the seat across from me. "Why don't y'all sit? 'Cause what I'm about to say you're gonna need strong knees for." They didn't move. So I kept going. While y'all been busy plotting guardianship paperwork and priority placement scams, I've been busy too. Joylene went pale. Marcus pulled another file out of his bag, quiet-handed like he'd been studying receipts all morning. I officially removed both of y'all from every access point tied to my estate. That includes the shared water account, joint bills, and the house title LLC, I said. Marcus added, bank account too. Mama opened a new one. This house was refinanced safely in her name 6 months ago and put in a protected trust. I helped. Joylene's lips parted like she was trying to find air on the ocean floor. Ebony swallowed twice. I had more. I backed up all phone calls, all text messages, took pictures of every pill bottle y'all rearranged, every expiration date you tried to use to paint me senile, sent it to Mr. West at the legal clinic. You remember Mr. West, don't you? Joylene snapped, voice cracking. Mama, this ain't what you think. This is exactly what I think and knew, Joylene, I said, sitting back in my chair like a queen sitting on proof. Aunt Shine chose that perfect moment to walk through the front door with a Kroger bag and slightly crooked lipstick. Oh no, keep talking, she muttered. I want to hear what kind of jackass logic makes you plan to ship your mama to a group home while stealing her house right under her kneecaps. Ebony had to sit down for that one. Mama, Joylene whispered, do you know what you're doing? I nodded slow. I'm undoing 3 years' worth of silence while you and the woman you married slowly turned betrayal into brunch. Marcus put the last file on the table. Eviction notice. You got 30 days. You got no rights to this place. Never did. Your envelope's been addressed here, but your name ain't ever been on the deed. And now, never will be. Ebony's mouth looked like a door left open in a storm. Joylene was crying now. So you kicking me out? You kicked me out first, I said. You just wasn't expecting me to kick back. And don't worry, Aunt Shine interrupted, peeling an orange with too much attitude. You ain't gonna be houseless. You can stay underneath the lies you've been telling or in your pride, but there will be shelter. Ebony stood up, ready to fight, but Marcus stood taller. The room shifted. What she saw wasn't a broken old woman anymore. She saw Ora Mae, the backbone, the blueprint. I walked to the front door, opened it slowly, and for once, they understood without me saying it twice. Joylene walked out first. Ebony, face ice cold, brushed past me, and just before she slammed that screen door, I leaned in and said it sweet. Next time you try to erase someone, sugar, you better make sure they ain't already written themselves in ink. Silence. Just wind, and Aunt Shine cackling like she was the only audience at a comedy show God wrote just for her. That evening, I stood in my kitchen where I was supposed to be fading out. And instead, I was freshly rewritten. The first night after they were gone, it rained. Not that sweet kind either. Thin-lashed, sidewalk-soaking drizzle. This was an old southern storm, one that rattles porch rails and rattles the bones of people who don't sleep easy. I didn't flinch. I made tea, sat at the dinner table they used to clutter with excuses and half-open mail, and I just sat. Real quiet, like I was listening to the house breathe again. It finally did. Marcus came by 2 days after the eviction went through. Said Ebony had tried to call him 7 times. Said Joylene sent a message that just read, I hope you're happy. Happy? Marcus set his glass of water down real slow. I'm calm, that's stronger. He watched me pack up Joylene's old boxes. Not a look of victory on his face, just love dressed in grown clothes. Tired love, but real just the same. You think they'll come back? He asked. I nodded. Not for me, I said, for what I still mean in paperwork. Marcus shook his head. I'll watch the mail. And he did. Every day for 2 weeks he stopped by, sometimes with donuts, sometimes with peace. And then it happened. 2 Sundays later, a white letter came. Handwritten, sharp, crooked letters. Return address missing. Inside, a typed note with no greeting. When you're finally in a home, we'll be there at the hearing. This is just one battle. You're old. We're patient. The house will come to us eventually. No name. But I knew the smell of that perfume. I knew that passive aggression like I knew the back of my hand. Ibonia, I read it twice, then set it in the fireplace and burned it without saying a word. That kind of hate needs oxygen. I don't give it any. Joylene didn't write, but she showed up a week later, shoulders curved like commas. pulled into the driveway driving a rental car, and looked at me through the screen door like I hadn't seen her heart the day I threw hers into the street. Mama, you married her, not me. I know. Silence. She set her purse down, just stood there on the porch like a kid who forgot their house key. You okay? She asked. You mean physically, mentally, legally, or spiritually? I asked. I guess all of it. I met her eyes and saw something new, not pride, not resistance. I saw fear she'd never name. Y'all tried to strip me down to my furniture and call it care, I said. You took all I gave and then told yourselves I was crazy for needing something back. She sniffled, wiped nothing from the edge of her cheek. I don't want the house, she said. I don't want anything. Now that you can't have it, I said, or because you never did. Joylene walked in, sat on the couch, same spot Ebony once claimed with crossed legs and silent authority. The cushion gave differently now, like it wasn't trained to hold lies any longer. I lost myself getting loved by someone who only knows how to use people, she said. Don't mean you were supposed to misuse me too, I said. She nodded. Long pause. I brought something, she said, reaching into her bag. She handed me a yellow folder. Inside were screenshots, text messages between her and Ebony, documents with record requests, a sample power of attorney, with Joylene's name scratched out. She was going to push me out too, she said. That I ain't expect. She was going to give it to her cousin, Joylene whispered. Flip the deed. Said she'd cut me in later, but it was always about her. I thought she loved me, she said. You know how many black women thought that, and still paid every cable bill blind? I said. Silence. I stood up and walked to the kitchen, got 2 mugs, poured mint tea, set one in front of her on the table where she first told me she was in love with Ebony. Joylene's hands shook a little when she picked it up. Mama, I'm sorry for real, she said. Something about that word, for real, cracked my bones just soft enough to let some heat through again. I believed in us healing, Joy, I said. Then y'all tried to help me unhear myself. Can we fix it? She asked. Only way to fix something that broken, I said, is to build something new beside it, but never on it. Joylene stayed for an hour, didn't try to gaslight, didn't beg, didn't pretend. She just sat there drinking tea over ashes. 2 weeks passed, silence returned. Then came the courthouse summons. Not guardianship, fraud. Ebony listed paperwork left behind, said documents filed outside her consent, claimed she helped fund the home's upkeep with her credit and utility setup. She wanted $11,000. I nearly laughed myself into early retirement. She may be manipulative, Marcus said, but she's got nerve I gotta respect. Better respect being broke, I said. Mr. Harris at the legal fund reviewed it, said she didn't have a leg to stand on. Said her own text messages Joylene printed damned her worse than court ever could. I didn't counterclaim, could've. But I didn't want her money. I wanted her gone. I got it. 3 months later, her claim was dismissed. The last we heard, she was couch-hopping out in Covington trying to find work that didn't know her business. Mr. Harmon helped replace her locks when the court ruling came through, and as he screwed in the last bolt of the back door, he looked at me and smiled. You didn't just win, Miss Ora, he said. You changed the whole weather pattern round here. I exhaled for the first time in months. My house finally creaked right. The safety wasn't passive. It was earned. The porch swing had a sound I hadn't heard in months. It creaked right, like bones settling down after holding everybody up but themselves. I was wrapped in my old housecoat, the one Ebony tried to toss 'cause it didn't aesthetic match the kitchen smell. Smelled like butter and boiled coffee beans today. Good. Joylene hadn't texted since the court date, and I let her hold that silence. Not as punishment, as permission to feel her own shame. I don't hold grudges, but I do hold doors. Some of them closed. Others, still cracked, in case growth knocks instead of guilt. The new mailbox key turned smooth. Mr. Harmon done lined my fence with lights. Marcus gave me back that boyish grin every time we sat down for chess under Mama's old grapevine. My house was lighter, not less full, just finally mine. And peace don't announce itself like folks do. It just shows up one day, in the quiet between breath and back porch wind. I heard Ania's little voice last Sunday while she watered the new roses with Marcus. Mama Ora, she said, why did Auntie Jojo move away? Marcus paused. Grown-ups do stuff they gotta figure out later, he said. I wanted to step in, say something to soften the fall. But nah, some truths need space to land. Besides, Ania's next words told me she was already all right. She said mean things to you, but I don't think you're crazy. You remember my whole lunch order all the time. I smiled so wide my tea near spilled through my lips. Joylene had taught her baby to be suspicious of my clarity. But the child saw straight to the root of me. Real recognizes real. I've been lighting candles for myself more lately. Just because. For years I used to light them for people who didn't feel me. Prayed for their bills, their mental health, their marriages. I finally lit one for me, and Lord, it burned just as warm. I went to the bank last Friday with a crisp list in my purse. Account transfer to my name alone, fund release for home repairs, and a down payment on a fund for myself. I don't mean stocks. I mean joy. I mean spa days, hotel weekends, evenings where I don't have to cook if I don't want to. I used to be scared of living like that. Thought freedom that tasted good was selfish. What I know now? Freedom does taste like sweetness, but only once you stop begging bitter folks for sugar. Eleanor came over again last night for peach cobbler and jazz playlists. She sat on the other porch chair gripping a mason jar full of lemonade. You glowed up, she said. Not yet, I said, smiling. But I'm lit, and that's close. We laughed till we both had to wipe our eyes. See, I lost a daughter and a house full of hollowness, but I got my damn self back. And no price could match that. This porch, it's mine again. With nobody taping real estate videos in the hallway when I'm trying to bless my food. My plants are watered by people who ask. My name's not on some clipboard labeled senior risk. It's stitched in story, gold and unshaken, right on the front door. And when I walk through it, nobody doubts I belong. It's strange, the things we survive. Folks think survival only looks like limping out of something with smoke behind you. Sometimes, it's sitting in your own kitchen without being claimed. Sometimes, it's a quiet coffee cup that don't get emptied by other people's needs before you get to sip it. Sometimes, survival is rediscovery. I found out I'm enough in all my forms. Old, sharp, tired, kind, holy, angry, poetic, and I am not disposable. So if you ask me who Ora Mae really is, she's the after, the stage beyond silence. And the woman who finally found out that retirement don't mean invisibility, it means arrival. Now baby, let me ask you this. If someone tried to steal your life with soft voices and soft lies, would you fight loud? Or would you reclaim it quiet? Drop me a line below. I want to know what you'd really do if someone tried to make you small inside your own home. Let's talk, right here, on Tales of Ora Mae,